Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. And as always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy October 22nd, 2025. Yes, feeling a whole hell of a lot better today than I did yesterday. I mean, yesterday was rough, but it was, again, we were talking about our guy, Mike Evans. We felt bad, and now the Buccaneers got to pivot. Time to pivot. Time to look forward and get back to, hey, marching towards the postseason, getting to the playoffs with our Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. Cannot wait for this weekend to see what you always want to see how these teams respond, right? That's the big thing. How do they respond to adversity, to obstacles? Can they bounce back? And if we've learned anything from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's that this team is very resilient. They're very resilient, and they've dealt with injuries in the past. And listen, you gotta trust that they're going to be able to do it again. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. I am everywhere. Can't do this without you guys, and especially our partners right here: Honest Hammer Custom Builders LLC and Evra Health. Our Evra Health injury report tomorrow at 12:30 with Dr. Rodriguez. You're not going to want to miss that one, man. Especially after the whole thing with Mike Evans and all the injuries that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been dealing with. Dr. Rodriguez joining us at 12:30 tomorrow. Woof. Unbelievable. On the program today at 12:15, Bailey Adams is going to join us from Pewter Report. Talk about that injury and everything that he's seen over the last couple of weeks and what he thinks the Buccaneers should be focusing on as we get closer and closer to the game this weekend against New Orleans Saints. Erik Erlendsson just hit me up. They're just finishing practice there in Brandon. Hopefully locker room will still be okay. Sounds good. Erik Erlendsson, lightninginsider.com, joins us at 1 o'clock tomorrow. 1 o'clock today. So that'll be good. Shout out to everybody always tuning in. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. If you want to join in on the conversation, just click on the link right here, whether you're on the phone, whether you're on your laptop, StreamYard.com/JK57PERVXI. A jam-packed show for you guys today on the program. In a couple minutes, the one veteran that I would love the Buccaneers to go out and get to help their defense. There's actually another guy that I just saw, too, that would be really helpful as well. Again, Bailey Adams joins us at 12:15. 12:45 for all of our USF fans out there. From my perspective, why Coach Golesh has been so successful here with USF. And it was something that happened in the press conference yesterday, and I'm giving you my 2 cents and my perspective, my point of view from being around him, from interviewing him, from talking to him. I got a chance to see him before the game last week. Why it works with USF. Why has he been so successful? And it's more than just what happens on the field. We'll get into that at 12:45 to all your Bulls fans out there. Again, Erik Erlendsson, lightninginsider.com, 1 o'clock. And then last night, the NBA season tipped off in a big way. I know Robert Cochran is going to be all over that. So, Robert, if you want to call in, call at 1:25. Hold on. Of the shirts stuff. Rolly from Lady Evil. I just texted the guy. I want to wear it at one of my shows. Yes, that'd be pretty badass. Benny, first one here. Happy hump day. David Terry, good afternoon, JR's wrecking crew and to the star of the show, Jay Recher. Appreciate you, DT. You are the man. What's up, Benny? Yes, the Thunder looked good last night. Not perfect, Robert, but that had to be pretty cool to be in the building. Give me a shout, Robert, later on today at 1:25. It is Aints Week. Yes, sir. Eddie Harada. Yes, much better spirits today, my friend. What up to Dolan? Greg DeCruz letting everybody know. Great teams don't lose this game against the Saints. The doc might need an hour tomorrow. You got that right. That Brad Marchand tribute from Boston was beautiful, bro. It really was. It really was. And listen, Marchand is one of those guys where if he's your guy, you love him. You don't. He's not your guy. You hate him. I mean, that was really, it was cool, man. And he got choked up. And listen, he's one of those guys, again, you hate him if he's not on the team. But what I like is I like when people lean into it. I like when people embrace their character. If you're a bad guy, if you're a villain, lean into that. Lean into it. I don't like when guys like pretend to be, oh, why does everybody hate me? Why am I a villain? Like, go out there. If you're a badass, be a badass. No apologies. I remember Lawrence Taylor back in the 80s and 90s. He didn't care. Came at you like a pack of wild dogs. Like, he didn't care. I love that. Ray Lewis didn't care what you thought about him. Right? I like that. Baker Mayfield doesn't give two shits about what you think about him. I like that. And when Marchand came here to the All-Star game and people were making fun of him and calling him the rat, he leaned into it. He loved it. He knew that he was in enemy territory. And that day I was like, that guy's cool. That guy's cool. Don't try to act like you're surprised when people are getting on you when you play the way you do. Listen, he skirts that line. He's a habitual line stepper, Brad Marchand. He's a guy that's, sometimes he goes a little bit over the edge. But listen, in the physical game, that's going to happen. You love guys like that when they're on your team. Shirts are coming, buddy. We're working on that now. What the hell with Geeky going back down? We're going to talk to Erik Erlendsson about that. One of our partners here on the program, my guy Russ, Honest Hammer. What's up, Jay and fam? Again, happy belated anniversary to you and your lovely wife. Oh, come on. Come on here, Greg. Don't be bringing up the Grimsby stuff with the Man United loss. That ain't cool. And Renee in the house and Uncle Stitch. Love you guys. Thank you for the love and the support. Renee and Stitch, you guys are the best. 3 likes, people. We can do better. That's right. Everybody right now, whether you're watching on Facebook, or whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, kill that like button, man. The more times you hit that like button, the better. We got to try to spread this word, man. Sharing it all out there. What's up, Jay? Moving on today, let's pound the Saints and get some rest. Yeah, you got that right, buddy. We are here. We are ready to go, baby. We are ready to roll. And yes, Honest Hammer, you are the best. All right, who is the guy that I would love to see? And thank you very much, Carlos Becerra, with the super chat, buddy. $5. Every little bit helps, guys. $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, whatever you guys do to help the program. Alongside our partners, Honest Hammer and EverHealth, every super chat helps, man. It really, really does. Thank you so much, Carlos, and for everybody that contributes. We know that Jason Light is not one of those guys that loves to trade. We know that. Even though us selfishly as sports fans, we love the trade deadline. I like it more in the NBA and the MLB and the NHL because you see multiplayer deals. I like when there's 3 guys from one team getting traded for 2 guys on another, and you just it adds to the fun. It adds to the fun. In football, we don't see that. We rarely see a 1-for-1. But when you think about it, there's an opportunity here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to make a deal. And I think this may be the year where Jason Light looks at these draft picks and says, I know we've been doing a great job with the percentages. Because these guys try to accrue these draft picks and bring them in because they figure, hey, if we have 7 draft picks and we hit on 5, that's a pretty good percentage. I understand that. But I think your percentage is probably a little bit higher than everybody else's. So if you're Jason Light, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing something like that this year. One of the names that I saw today, Logan Wilson, pretty good coverage corner for the Cincinnati Bengals, is kind of fallen out of favor there. That would be a nice one, right? But I don't know if the Buccaneers are going to trade for an inside linebacker at this point. Because they've been telling us that Servassier Dennis is that guy. All the way back to last year when he was hurt. They seem to like what Deion Jones can do in fill-in time. And we know Levante David, like those guys, as we say right now, they're relatively healthy. And one thing that we do know about Todd Bowles is that he is loyal to a fault when it comes to moving on from players. We saw it with Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. We saw it with Ryan Neal. Like, that's just the way it goes. He stays with the guys maybe a week or 2 or 5. We saw it with Devin White too. He stays with guys longer than maybe some other people because he's so set in his values that it doesn't matter. He's not worried about the outside noise. So I don't look at that position and think that that's going to happen. Would I love to see a guy like Logan Wilson? Yes, but I don't think that's going to happen. Do I think that they're going to go out and get a wide receiver? It's with the uncertainty of Jalen McMillan and the uncertainty of Chris Godwin. We know what's going on with Mike Evans. Emeka Egbuka, got to try to keep him healthy, wrap him in bubble wrap if you can. I don't know if they would trade a guy. Maybe you go out and you sign a Tyler Boyd. Maybe you go out and sign a Tyler Lockett. Maybe. We'll see. You still got Emeka Egbuka, Tez Johnson, Sterling Shepard. You're going to have to reach down and you're going to give Cam Johnson more time, Ryan Miller, Garrett Green. So it's like we've seen guys have some success, even if it's not, to the level of a Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. They still have some guys there. One guy that I would love to see, and of course, and I'm not talking about the Max Crosbys and the Trey Hendricksons of the world, because if Jason Light does make a deal, I don't think it's going to be for a first or a second or a third or even a 4th round pick. It's going to be a guy that he's going to trade for, and it's going to be the back end of the draft, the back half of the draft. The one guy that I would love to see here at 39 years young would be Calais Campbell. Now, we're going to talk about this a lot today at 3 o'clock with Ian Beckles on our Beckles and Recher podcast from the Dignitary Cafe. But when you look at this team and you look at the defensive line, that was a little bit of an issue against the Detroit Lions. Being able to get to the quarterback, being able to tackle, at the point of contact, being able to, the first guy getting there, being able to make a play. And now with the uncertainty of Hassan Reddick, you need more guys on that defensive line. I thought the omission of Kalijah Kancey from that defensive line really showed itself for the first time in that game against Detroit. Calais Campbell is an ultimate leader and a pro's pro. And he's 39. You're not committing long-term, right? You're giving a guy a deal. He's going to be there at the end. This is the end of his career, but you're talking about a guy that still has 3 sacks this year. He's playing about 50% the last 3 weeks of the snaps. We're not expecting him to come in here and be the Calais Campbell of 31 years old, 32 years old. But this is a guy I still think has some good football left. And what he is going to add to your locker room, it's unquantifiable what he can do for you guys inside that Buccaneer locker room. And the reason why I bring him up is because I think you can never have enough good players. You can certainly never have enough good leaders. I just saw an article yesterday from Arizona saying that he's very frustrated with this team. I've been telling you guys for the last 2 weeks, that's a dumpster fire. Jonathan Gannon will get fired before the end of the season. The whole thing of him, putting his hands on the player and then looking at their schedule, like, it's not going to get any better. It's going to get progressively worse, whether it's Kyler Murray or Jacoby Brissett. If this is his last year, bring him to the Buccaneers. And the main reason why this stands out to me, not the main reason, but one of the big reasons is a couple of years ago when he was playing with the Falcons, I went into that Atlanta locker room. I had an interview. I was working for, I think it was SiriusXM, and I had to get an interview with Drake London, I think it was. That was the game that Bijan Robinson didn't play. And I was standing there with our good buddy Erik Hoffman, and Calais Campbell was just right there. And we just so happened to just start talking to Calais Campbell, one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen in my entire life. And like the gentle giant, like an unbelievable human being. And we asked him about being here, and he said he was having a lot of fun. And he said, this game really meant a lot to me. This win was very special. We were like, why? And he goes, because of the coach on the other team. I love Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is my guy. I love that freaking guy. We had such a great time together in Arizona. And it was just like he went on for like the next 5 minutes talking about his relationship with Todd Bowles. Bring him home, man. If he's going to have one more year, it's not going to cost the Buccaneers a lot. I think it helps you on the field. I think it helps you off the field. Do I think that should be the only move? No, I would love to see him go get another pass rusher. But the type of moves that Jason Light makes, knowing that he's not going to give up a ton, man, I think you could do a lot worse than a guy like Calais Campbell. He's still got some juice left in the tank at 39 years young. All right, let's bring him in. Let's keep the conversation going when it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Our good pal Bailey Adams from Pewter Report. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Doing well. How you doing, Jay?
I'm good, buddy. I see you got the lightning hat on. Man, it's been a rough putt for those guys, but I mean, kind of tough with our Buccaneers. I had a gloom and doom day yesterday, just on for an hour, wearing my hoodie. I said on Monday, oh, it's not a big deal if they lose the game. The record will still be 5-2, but it hurts so much more because of the Mike Evans injury. What was your kind of big takeaway after that loss, other than Mike being out?
It kept feeling, even throughout the game, and then by the end with the Mike Evans injury and the Hassan Reddick injury, it was a lot like last year's Monday Night Football game against the Ravens. I made the point a couple of times, and the fact that it was a day apart, it was October 21st of last year, right. October 20th of this year, was a very eerie feeling where just about everything went wrong in both games, and the Bucs suffered some key crucial injuries in those games. As far as the vibe going forward, I think maybe it was. I don't want to say it was a blessing in disguise, because I don't think a loss ever really is something right. Like, I think it gets overplayed a little bit where it's like, oh, we needed this loss. But I think there is a chance here for them to bounce back and take what happened in Detroit and take it a little personally and come back in with a chip on their shoulder, similarly to what the Lions did this past week after losing to Kansas City. I think this team I think they've got the makeup to bounce back quickly and kind of move on from that game and come back with a vengeance.
No doubt about it. And I know a lot of people are kind of looking at it now and saying, all right, well, what's a guy like Jason Light going to do? He's not that guy. He's not that guy that usually is going to go out there and make these big splashy moves. And, I know he had the thing with JPP and Steve McClendon, but I feel like this year is a little different, Bailey. I feel like this is a team that's really primed to win. And I think you owe it to a guy like Levante David. I think you owe it to a guy like Mike Evans, if he can come back, to go out there and try to make a move. I say Calais Campbell because I feel like, you can never have enough defensive linemen. He's a guy that's stout against the run. He's 39 years old and the ultimate leader. He loves Todd Bowles. So whether it's Calais or somebody else, I would love to see them make a move because, you're wearing the lightning hat. One of the things that Julian Brisebois has told me, he goes, I try to make this team better all 365 days of the year. And I owe it to the players at the trade deadline to try to make my team better, whether it was a Matt Dumba and Anthony Duclair a couple years ago, whether it was Gordon Bjorkstrand last year. Like, he's always trying to do something. And I know it's different in football, but what do you think, Bailey, as you look at this trade deadline coming up? Do you think this is the year where Jason Light kind of goes against the grain a little bit and makes a move and brings somebody in? And if so, what position?
I agree with you, and I love the Calais Campbell shout. I think this is a team that the pass rush hasn't been awful in the last couple games. I mean, they obviously have the game against the 49ers where they had 6 sacks, and you've seen Yaya Diaby kind of come into his own a little bit over the last couple weeks. The injury to Reddick hurts because there's not a lot of depth at the edge position. I don't know that they're going to go make a big splash at that position as much as I would probably like them to, but with the loss of Kalijah Kancey, bringing in a guy like Campbell who shouldn't cost that much, I like that.
What would he's a 7th round, right? Like they're not gonna hold. Like you would hope that Arizona would deal in good faith, right? It would be a conditional pick or a 7th round pick. Like this is one of those moves that happen in sports, Bailey. Because you're not just a football guy. You see this in other sports, right? The Max Scherzer deal or something like you see this in other sports where it's like, hey man, this guy's got a year or 2 left. Go back to a coach that he knows and loves, gives him an opportunity to win. Nobody's going to bat an eye at this as far as like a collusion or a super negative. Like it just makes too much sense to me not to happen.
Yeah. Giving a guy a chance to win one last time, a guy who has given his time in his career. I think it makes sense. And I don't know whether this kind of changes this year with Jason Light. I don't know. I think it should. I think one thing we know for the longest time is he doesn't like to give up draft picks. And so if you see a move, you're probably going to see maybe a 6th or 7th rounder.
Right.
And he's not going to go with a mid-round pick or much less a high pick. It will hurt in a sense, you say, because the success he's had with those 6th and 7th rounders. I mean, you look at what Tez Johnson's doing right now. He's a 7th round pick, but
I know.
you've got to do something to offset some of these injuries and make this team better, because this is a team that is primed to make a run. I think it is, even with some of the injuries. I mean, they're going to get some of these guys back. And we talked about it, weeks ago, and the news kind of came out. If they can make a deep enough run, Kalijah Kancey could be back in play to come back the way Vita Vea did in that Super Bowl run in 2020. So you'd like to see Jason Licht do something to kind of get them, whether it's just shoring up some depth or at least giving them something to hold on to. Because the other teams in the NFC are going to. There are a lot of teams that are, with as packed as it is right now. I mean, looking at the playoff picture right now, it's like the teams 2 through 7 in the NFC are all 5-2. So some of these teams are going to make some moves to try to separate themselves. And I don't know that the Bucs will, because it hasn't really been Jason Licht's MO, but I think he should. And if there's a time to kind of go against the grain and go against his past tendencies, I think it's right now.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you, because there's only so many times you get a crack at it. And with this team the way it is, and you just never know, man. You never know. Like, was that the last time you see Mike Evans in a Bucs uniform? Like, you just don't know, man. It's not guaranteed to anybody. A very scary injury. Watching that with a bunch of friends, and it's just like, you never want to see Mike like that. And he's always got a little hitch to his giddy up. Him and Jameis have always been like that. They always look like they woke up and they're all achy and creaky. But when you got to come off like that, and he's like that, just it was tough to watch. It really was.
Yeah.
What do you make of Baker Mayfield's play? I feel like this was the exception, not the rule. His feet were dancing all over the place. He did not look comfortable. How much of that you put on him? How much of that do you put on the offensive line? And I thought the offensive line would play a little bit better than they did, to be honest with you. And I don't know if it's because they're only really 3/5, strong, and they're dealing with that right side. And I saw, Tristan Wirfs move over to the right side too. But what do you make of the offensive line and Baker Mayfield?
I think there's a bit of blame to go around on both sides, because I think there were times where Baker was creating pressure for himself. But I think that comes from I don't want to say lack of faith in his offensive line, because Baker, of all the guys, is going to have faith in whoever's out there. But I think it's just the reality of the situation. That right side of the line is going to struggle to hold up against a guy like Aiden Hutchinson. Detroit getting a Lee McNeil back when they did, and he made a huge impact right up the middle. So that was always a constant threat. So the threat was always there, and I think Baker felt that. Even in some of his better games, you see him kind of dance around like that with his feet. And this time, I think the Lions did a good job of containing him, because when he likes to move around, sometimes that his feet will get happy, and then he'll roll out and find a way to pick up some yards. He wasn't able to do that in this game. So I think the Lions just played them really well, and kind of shut down the outer structure plays that Baker sometimes likes to make when he's under pressure. And I agree with you. I think it's more the exception than the rule. I know this is a week-to-week league, and so you're seeing a lot of in the days after that game, you're seeing a lot of, Baker, he's fallen out of the MVP race. He was never an MVP candidate. I don't believe in all of that stuff.
No,
I think it was actually Gerald McCoy made a really good point bringing up some of Josh Allen's games he had last year, where it was like that was the NFL MVP, and he had back-to-back weeks. So it is the overall body of work, and I think what Baker has done to this point is a lot less what we saw on Monday, and a lot more of some of the clutch plays we've seen him make.
Yeah, what people don't really like to say sometimes is that one team just played better than the other. Like, you try to get too deep into the weeds and like, oh, they did this and all the schematics, and it's like sometimes one, especially on the line, the games are won and lost in the trenches, and sometimes one line plays better than the other, and that's just kind of what you deal with. And the Buccaneers unable to tackle a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, like a little bit of an issue there. Speaking of that, we had this conversation before, I'm pretty sure. Savase Dennis, man, I was very vocal before the season. Like, are y'all sure? Is everybody sure? And you know me, man, I lean optimistic. I lean positive, blah, blah. But I'm just like, we're relying on a guy coming off of a shoulder injury. There's not a huge sample size here. And now we're seeing this play, right? And it's like, wow, going forward is better than we thought. Like blitzing, but like in coverage, like he has not been the guy that everybody has touted him to be. I don't see them making a move because I feel like, again, they're stubborn. They're going to rely on their guys. But what do you make of his play? Do you think it's going to get better? Do you think they adapt in any way? Because this isn't the SirVocea Dennis they were all saying he was going to be.
Yeah, I've been surprised because of what we've seen him kind of do. And I know it doesn't always translate from the practice fields to game days, but
Right.
he has been such a good coverage backer in practice and in camps over the years. So this was a good chance for him to get an extended run out of play and be the guy they expected him to be. I'm losing faith by the week, maybe by the drive. I mean, we've seen him do some good things and some bad things. I think we lean more a little bit toward the bad right now, but I think it can get better.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue that we're seeing is whether it's the over pursuit on some of these swing passes out, like we saw the one on Gibbs where
Right.
he overruns them. Like it's the fact that every time he makes a mistake like that, it's turning into a 35 yard play.
Right.
That is the problem, obviously, because we're seeing other times where he is good going forward. He had a sack the other night, and
yeah,
it's just weird because I don't think he makes a ton of mistakes, but every mistake he makes is a 35 yard gain. So that's a problem, and I don't really know how you fix that.
Yeah,
but it's a glaring mistake every time it happens.
Yeah, it's like when you drop something. Yeah, but you dropped a glass vase. You didn't drop a plastic cup every single time. There's glass everywhere, SirVocea, and it's like I do see good things. It's not like he's like hidden, right? He makes some good plays going forward. He makes some tackles. I'm like, all right. You look at his sacks, like he's on my I do IDP. He's on my fantasy team now. Like he's balling out. But it's just like, my God, that's what they needed him to do. What do you make of the Jamel Dean on the sidelines? And I know they go back and forth. They want to get Benjamin Morrison in there, but kind of weird a little bit that he wasn't out there. And I know it's all about matchups and things like that, but it's a little weird that this is a guy that he's probably played some of his best football when he's been healthy this year. And then, he's on the sidelines for a good chunk of plays with Benjamin Morrison. And again, I understand. I've watched the games. I know what their thought process is, but you would think, like, in this day and age, you guys playing better, you play them more, right? I mean, what do you make of that?
A lot of it I thought was like, oh, you want to ride the hot hand, and Jamel Dean has been the hot hand. I think coming into this past game, he was like the highest graded corner in the league, and he just won, NFC Defensive Player of the Week, all that stuff. So it was a little weird, and I know they got Benjamin Morrison back and healthy and want to get him in the mix, but I mean, I don't know. I would be interested to hear a little bit more of the thought process around when and why they're rotating the way they are. I mean, obviously they've been rotating. When they've both been healthy, they've been rotating. And I think that's something that got a little lost on Joe Buck and Troy Aikman with the way they were treating that situation. But yeah, I mean, I think Jamel's been playing, to his credit, has been playing really, really good football. He took the pay cut, and so far he's doing a good job of kind of paying off the bet on himself. I mean, he's got a career high 3 interceptions already. And I know 3 interceptions doesn't sound like a huge number, but
for him,
yeah, for him. And the Bucs are 7 games in, and there's a reason after he caught his second one last week, Baker comes up and makes the joke again of, oh, hey, Dean caught another one. And then against Detroit, he caught another one. So he's putting himself in good positions to make plays. And I know there was the penalty, so we've seen some bad, but I think for the most part, it's been a lot of good from Jamel Dean. And yeah, I don't know. I get the want and the willingness to rotate because of what they believe Benjamin Morrison to be, and I believe he's going to be a good player. But when and why they rotate the way they do, I'm a little bit curious about, and have to probably dive into the situational aspect of all of it to understand it a little bit more.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I feel like it's maybe something that is just they have to explain it. Right, because I'm with you. The hot hand is what I'm thinking about. So I just got a message. There's a huge Rowdies announcement coming up at 2:00 today. So not on the show because I'll probably be off by then. But talking a big Tampa Bay Rowdies announcement at 2:00 today. So make sure everybody keeps an eye out for all social media platforms there. What do you make of Cade Otton at the tight end position? Because for me, and I saw ESPN just had like the 20 trade candidates, and they were talking about the Buccaneers possibly trading for a tight end. And I'm just like, I don't know if that's necessarily the right spot. Cade, for me, for my money, has done everything this team's wanted him to do. I mean, he's been helping out, blocking. He's disappeared in the passing game the first couple of weeks because what the hell, man? They didn't know what was going on. You got Graham Barton
Mhm.
playing left tackle. Of course, Cade
Yeah.
had to, play his best co-key role, especially when Coe went out. And then when you see him involved with the offense, Bailey, like, I really like Cade Otton. I'm one of those guys where I think on another team in a more featured offense where like they throw the ball to the tight end more, I think he could put up Pro Bowl numbers. What do you make of Cade Otton and what he's been able to do for the team this year?
I'm a huge fan of Cade Otton's, and I think it's because he's not as flashy as some of the other pass catching tight ends in the league. Excuse me.
He's so selfless, man. Selfless.
He does everything they ask him to do, and I think that's one of those things where he will ultimately get rewarded for it. I think, and everybody I think would love to see the Bucs have that number one title when they had Gronk, like how much of a factor he was in the offense. But I think Cade Otton does a lot of good things. Well, he's developed really well as a blocker, and I think he's doing some really, really good things in that department. And yeah, I mean, he can be a safety blanket for Baker Mayfield when they need him to be. I know the hot topic even earlier this season with the trade market has been Mark Andrews, given his friendship with Baker Mayfield. But I don't know that Mark Andrews is still Mark Andrews that he was a couple of years ago. And I don't know that that's the biggest need. Like if the Bucs are going to part ways with a pick, I'm not doing it to get another tight end. I think I'm doing it to do something, whether it's on the interior of the defensive line, find an edge rusher, whatever it might be. Tight end would be pretty low on the list of needs for me.
No, I'm with you on that. Okay. But the more that you say that, let's switch both because I'm with you. Let's switch on the other side. How could it help the Buccaneers, Mark Andrews, right? Like, because now we're looking at it because other people are going to say, and again, I'm with you as far as the priority being on the defensive side of the ball. But let's say they do fortify the offense in some way. People are thinking Tyler Boyd, Tyler Lockett, wide receiver. In that aspect, could it be a tight end then? You know what I mean? Like that's how, I haven't looked at it like that. And I've been, when I just said it, when I said it to you, I'm like, tight end, they don't need a tight end. But the more and more I think about it, if they are trying to fortify the offense in a way, do you get more of a pass catching tight end? Does it make sense maybe after the injury with Mike? Maybe
it could, and it would probably take a little bit of I don't know if it's a full philosophical shift, but it depends on what Josh Grizzard would want to do, because you're not going to acquire Mark Andrews and then not play Cade Otton anymore. So if you're going to go to two tight end sets more often to kind of make up for that loss of Mike, then possibly. I'm just not sure, because we just spent, it's funny because of everything that just happened on Monday night, but I know Scott Reynolds on pewterreport.com just last week was writing about how well the Bucs have done in terms of building up their depth at wide receiver. So we saw what happened against the 49ers, where, Sterling Shepard was playing like a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1, Tez Johnson, Cameron Johnson, your gun in Ibuka coming back this past week a lot faster than we kind of thought he would. I think they're okay at receiver. So I don't know. It just depends on what the asset, like what it's going to take, because if you can get, and I don't know, I don't even know if Mark Andrews is on the block. Like it's all sorts of variables. Like like what would it take, and if you can get him for a lower cost than a fifth receiver, which I don't think would be the case, then maybe you do that. But I don't know. I just doesn't feel like it's something that's in the cards for this team, unless they really are going to go against what their tendencies have been for a long time and really truly go all in, which, given the injury situations they've had, I don't know if they're going to go all in.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What do you make of this pass rush with Yaya Diaby? I feel like he's starting to get home more. I was going back and forth with our pal Josh Capo, because I'm in the like, I don't subscribe to the pressures are always a good thing. I understand that pressures could be, but I am an anti could, should, would guy.
I'm sure Josh took that well.
No, it's because we're such good buds, you know what I mean? So he understood my rationale, because I told him, I said, eventually if it leads to sacks, right, then that's fine. We're pushing the rock up the mountain and we're getting there. But if you are just a pressure guy and not a sack guy, like, you don't get paid on pressures, you get paid on sacks. And if it's not leading to sacks for other people, right? If it's not leading to quarterbacks having to get rid of the football more, right? And then we talk about pressures in the game too. Like, oh, well, this quarterback gets rid of the ball quickly. Bro, we're seeing more and more guys get rid of the ball quickly. We're seeing less and less of these huge dropbacks where you guys all 5, 7, 9 step. We're not seeing that as much. This isn't Steve Spurrier in the 70s and the 77 Buccaneers. I watched that documentary yesterday too. So I understand, but I want to see more production because I think sacks are one of those stats at times where it's like there's a lot of gray areas. There's a lot of, underlying stats. And especially with, us being baseball guys, we know how statistics can get bogged down by them sometimes. But what do you make of the pass rush? What do you make of Yaya Diaby and how it's looked and how it's, either gotten better or worse as the year's gone on?
It's funny because I think last year a lot of it was Yaya was not really getting home, but his pressure numbers were up. I think this year his pressure numbers aren't bad, but he now leads the team with 4 sacks. He has 3 in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
It's almost like it's flipped, and he has become the sack guy. And I know Hassan Reddick's hurt now, but Hassan Reddick has been really, really good this season, in my opinion. But his sack numbers haven't been there. His pressure numbers have been. I think he only has like 1.5 sacks. So it's interesting. And I think Yaya is becoming a more complete pass rusher. I think you're seeing him get home as a result a little bit more. I think right now the pass rush, I'm just worried because of Hassan Reddick's injury. They don't have any depth. Like, it's not that they have bad. Like, it's not like they're struggling with depth. It's like they just don't. I think Anthony Nelson has been a good player when he's had to step in for, a week or two or just in a rotational role. But he's not a guy. If Hassan's out for 3, 4, 5 weeks, you're not going to feel that comfortable with Anthony Nelson being a 5-week starter, especially with Chris Braswell not really producing behind him. Marquise Watts is what he is at this point. I know they have Mo Kamara on the practice squad. I don't know if he's your savior either. So I don't know. It just all points back to how devastating it was to lose David Walker in the offseason or in training camp, because yes, he's a rookie, but I think there was something special there, and it still could be, of course, but not going to help this year. And now with all the injuries, you add in the one to Kalijah Kancey on the interior. It's just the pass rush as a whole has really come down to Yaya and Vita Vea right now. And that's a tough spot to be in when, you've lost so many guys.
So do you make them, like, if you make a move for the outside, like it's going to be tough, man, right? Because, like, what do? You get a Max Crosby, you get a Trey Hendrickson. Like, I know that's the, put on your fantasy football hat. Oh, yeah, it's easy. Just go out and get those guys.
Sounds good.
It sounds great, but you also got to trade a draft pick away, and you're probably freaking pay the guy, too. Is there any alternatives? Like, how do you think they fix that problem?
It would be somebody lower on the chain, I think, because of what Hendrickson and what Crosby will demand, both in terms of capital to the team you're trading them for, and also in terms of signing them after this year. I know one way to kind of cope with that is Hassan Reddick's on a 1-year deal, and you still have Yaya on a rookie deal. But I just don't think they're going to part ways with a 1st or 2nd round pick for a guy, especially when you look at Trey Hendrickson, and he is, very, very good, has had back-to-back 17.5 sack seasons, but he's in his 30s already. And the Bucs have had some, I don't want to say bad luck because it's kind of just reality, but when their guys lately have been getting to that 31, 32, 33-year-old threshold, their production drops off. So it's almost like it's a ticking time bomb if you're trading for a guy like that and you're giving up a lot to get him and having to pay him a lot of money. So I don't really know what they do. I don't know what they do to fix it. I don't think there's an easy, quick fix out there for them to acquire. And that's why you kind of hope that Hassan Reddick's injury isn't too serious and that you can get him back at some point soon. But I don't know. It is a tough reality right there, because as much as the Mike Evans injury hurts, and as much as it hurts, I think, kind of just the morale of the fan base because of what a fan favorite he is, you feel a little bit better about the depth at receiver. You hopefully have Chris Godwin Jr. coming back soon. Emeka Ibuka has emerged as a star. Tez Johnson's playing better. At the edge rusher position, there's just not really a guy that you're having waiting in the wings right there. And that's where the Reddick injury hurts a little bit more right now.
Before I ask you about the Magic to close things out, I want to ask you about the Mike Evans record. And your thoughts on the team and the fan base and everybody out there, and just like what it's meant to the entire, just everybody involved with the Buccaneers.
It's so much. I mean, it has been one of the, especially early on, I think, what was it? He came into the league in 2014. I think probably the first 5 or 6 years him having that streak was one of the few exciting things to like about those teams. And he started to build his legacy that way. And then the winning came along, and it was, all right, the Bucks are winning right now, and it's awesome, but we still want to get Mike his and get him that record. And I think as sad as it is for the record and the streak to end the way it is right now with this injury, it kind of almost paints the picture even better that part of it was, yes, he was consistently productive for 11 years and was able to hit that 1,000 yards plus every year. It was also the fact that whenever he had an injury, it was like a 1, 2, 3 week thing. It was never like he has stayed remarkably healthy throughout the course of his career. And this is the first time he's come up with an injury like this that's going to cost him this many weeks. And so I think that almost speaks not more, but it also speaks to his durability and his longevity. And there is also something poetic about it that as much as it would have been, as nice as it would have been to have him own this record by himself with a 12th straight 1,000-yard season, him sharing it with Jerry Rice, I think in the long run is going to still mean a lot to Mike, and I think a lot to the fan base, because when your name is next to Jerry Rice's, as cool as it would have been to be above Jerry Rice's, his name being with Jerry Rice's, I think is something that's special for Mike and for everyone to kind of hang on to.
All right, buddy. How excited are you? Orlando Magic. A lot of people very, very high on them, especially with the open door of Tyrese Halliburton hurt in Indiana, Jason Tatum hurt in Boston. I've seen my Knicks have gotten a lot of love, but it's I was so something yesterday. It was like, oh man, majority of the people have the Knicks in the finals, but everybody has them losing to the Thunder. What do you think, man? Is this the year? I mean, obviously you're dealing with Suggs, and his injury, but I mean, you have Paolo, you have Wagner, you get Desmond Bain, you traded a freaking the anti-Jason Light. You traded a 4 first-round picks for a guy like Desmond Bain, who looks like he could beat the crap out of anybody with those guns. He looked like he could play for the Bucks. How excited? This has got to be as excited as you've been for a Magic fan, probably back since the Dwight Howard days, no?
I think so, and I think that's kind of where it gets even scarier, is like there's actually some real tangible hope there now. Whereas the last few years, like, okay, they're building something. They've got a guy in Paolo who they're building around. He's a thrill to watch, and he's kind of a complete player. You're getting a lot out of Franz, but now they've added a guy and they've traded what they did to get Desmond Bain. The clock is ticking. Like they've got to make a push and get back and make a deeper run. Haven't won a playoff series since I think like 2013, something like that. So they can't be another first round exit. And with the door being open with the rest of the East right now, there's some pressure there. So it's like, as excited as I am to watch that team and what they put together, it's a little bit more like, all right, there's actually something at stake now, and there's more room for disappointment. Expectations, there's more room for disappointment. But no, I mean, I'm excited for it. I think I just saw just before I hopped on here, I think Jalen Suggs is good to go.
Oh, good. Okay.
I believe so. Yeah, it's exciting times, and I can't wait to actually get out there and get back to Orlando for a game here soon.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a heck of a season. A great start last night to the season. As long as it's not Indy, Orlando ranks pretty low on the teams that I dislike going against the Knicks. I mean, Indiana's definitely at the top. Miami's definitely in there. Boston, of course. Atlanta, I don't like Trae Young. So Sixers, everybody thinks Sixers are always going to be good, but they're banged up. I mean, they're always banged up. But yeah, it should be good. And they're a fun team to watch, and they defend their ass off. I think if Orlando, I'm going to see where their 3-point percentage. They got to shoot. They got to be able to shoot the ball. That's why they brought KCP in, to be able to be that guy. It didn't really work out. If they can get guys that can shoot the three consistently, especially in an ever-changing league, I mean, their defense is they have a lot of guys that can just throw at you and play good defense.
Yeah, and I think that's where the Bain trade will hopefully help, and that's why they did what they did. Like, I think he's been a little bit of what they've been missing. And I know that's what they thought about KCP last year, but I think this is a different level of it. I think Desmond Bain has a lot more to him, and yeah, I mean, they gave up a lot for him, so it's going to have to pay off. I'm hoping they can stay healthy, and I know there was the injury crisis last year with both Paolo and Franz picking up the same injury like a couple weeks apart was crazy. So you hope they can stay healthy and live up to their potential this year.
Gonna be fun, man. Bailey Adams, Pewter Report. You're the best, brother. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend. Talk soon.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Talk to you soon.
You see you, buddy. Good stuff as always. Bailey Adams, we can talk all freaking day. He does such a great job for Pewter Report. PewterReport.com. Bailey J. Adams. Go check him out. A lot of good things going on with our guys over at Pewter Reports. Really good games last night, too. Really good games. Let me just type this out. Hearing. There is a huge coming All right. Yeah, big announcement from our Tampa Bay Rowdies coming up at 2 o'clock today. Unbelievable. I just want to make sure that I put it out there so everybody knows. Everybody knows. Sometimes I'm really good at typing. Other times, terrible. Terrible. Okay. There's a huge announcement coming out. All right. There we go. Favorite Magic player, Penny Hardaway. My favorite Magic player, Dennis Scott. No, not really. Brian Patrick Ewing. They're good though, buddy. They're good. It's gonna be NBA season is gonna be fun. I got 12:30. Try to do 12:15 tomorrow. Trying to book guests. This is what happens. Ruben Barreto. That was the name of my pediatrician growing up. Dr. Anibal Barreto in Brentwood. What's going on with the Rowdies? Ruben, big. No, they're not folding. Benny, don't be rude. They're definitely not folding. The new owners with the Rays, they're excited about the Rowdies too. Ruben, big announcement coming up at 2 o'clock today. I'll probably be off air by then, but from what I'm hearing, it's a big one. Big announcement coming up at 2 o'clock today. So you do not want to miss that. And then we'll talk about it tomorrow on the program. No doubt about it. All right. So I wanted to discuss something yesterday or something today, excuse me, about our USF football team. Okay. Now, hold on. Make sure you guys follow me on all social media platforms. Again, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. But I want you guys to realize something. Like, less than 5 years ago, the USF football team was one of the worst in college football. Not just in the conference, but just for every team around the country. And now as we sit here on October 22nd, they're the 18th best team in the country. And the main reason why that is because of head coach Alex Golesh. It's been a lot of fun to see Coach Golesh transform this program into one that the entire Tampa Bay area can be proud of. You had to have like certain streaming devices to watch this team a couple of years ago. Now they're on national TV, which seems like every week. But why has this worked here with Coach Golesh? Excuse me. My bad. Why has this worked with Coach Alex Golesh and USF? Sure, the high-speed offense with Byron Brown has played a huge part. DC Todd Orlando and his two stud linebackers, Mac Harris and Jalen Schuler, have also led the way. It's easy for me to speak. Easy for me to say. Start again. Why has this worked here with Coach Alex Golesh and USF? Sure, the high-speed offense led by Byron Brown has played a huge part. DC Todd Orlando and his 2 stud linebackers, Mac Harris and Jalen Schuler, have also led the way. But it goes deeper than that. It's more than the X's and O's and what happens on the field. It's the culture that Coach Golesh has built. And it's, permeating not only through the team, but also the athletic program, the university, and our community. And he'll never take the credit that he deserves, but it all starts with him. He understands his role not only as a football coach, but a leader of young men. And it hit me yesterday at his weekly press conference when he was asked about cornerback Jarvis Lee. Golesh lit up like a Christmas tree. He's grown as much as anyone in our program, Golesh said. He's a huge reason why you get into coaching. He also added that Jarvis had built up a lot of anger at the world before his time at USF, but now he's an elite teammate and he's thriving. Coach was smiling ear to ear when he said that Jarvis Lee was going to be successful in whatever he did, whether that's playing football or doing something else in his future. As much as football coaches love the game, I believe the truly elite ones are the guys who take these young men and mold them into being a better version of themselves, whether that's on the football field or off of it. And that's Alex Golesh. This guy, excuse me, this guy cares about the people that suit up for him every weekend, donning the green and gold. They're more than just a number and a name on a jersey and a logo on a helmet. When young student athletes are around that type of leader, and that leader fosters that type of environment, you can see a turnaround like we've seen here at South Florida. That's how you change a culture. That's how you get to number 18 in the country, just a few years after being the laughingstock of college football. Alex Golesh is a heck of a football coach, but an even better leader of young men. And we're lucky to have him at USF. And when you watch him talk about these kids, it's special. It means so much to him. The impact that he's having on these kids' lives. Like, it's not he doesn't get excited as much of like what Byron Brown does, running the football or throwing the football, or Mac Harrison. He gets joy, pure, unbridled joy over the growth in the men and the young men and how they've been better people and how they've grown to be leaders in this program. That's why when people tell me, they go like, oh man, I don't know about sports. I can't believe you're so invested in sports. I'm just like, man, it can change your life. The confidence that you get, especially playing in a team sport. Like, who knows what the future of Jarvis Lee would have been if he didn't go play college football, especially here at USF with somebody like Alex Golesh. You can see the impact that sports can have on a young person during their transformative years, whenever that is. And it's truly remarkable. And you see these kids, and I've seen it myself coaching kids that were quiet and meek and aloof, and they didn't have confidence. And then they go out and they learn and they get taught, and they're in a team atmosphere, and really they're allowed to express themselves, and the kid changes. Fuck the player. It's not about the player. Forget about the player. The human being changes. It's almost like they transform, they evolve into just a different person altogether. Their true personality shines through. And I'm a big believer that the best coaches in every sport do that. How do you really tap in to a different side of a young person? College coaches, man. I mean, they just have such a huge part to play. It's not just college coaches, high school coaches, coaching youth sports. Like, you really, I mean, I look at kids sometimes and I go, man, that kid really needs to get on board, because you can see how they can go awry. You can see how that can lead to a real negative outcome in the future, off the field, off the ice, off the court. Having this conversation the other day with Ken Erickson at the football game, and just talking about young people and how the ones up here that win those are the ones that are going to be successful, whether they're with him or without. Seeing the impact that a guy like Amir Abdur-Rahim had on our community, had on our basketball team in such a short time. Look no further than a guy that suited up last night for the Oklahoma City Thunder, the defending NBA champions. One Chris Youngblood, a young kid from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, that played for Coach Amir at Kennesaw, that played for Coach Amir here at USF. And what he and Selton Miguel and Kason Pryor, what they were able to do in that 1 year. Incredible, man. Shone such a bright spotlight on the Yuengling Center. Tampa Bay's home for hoops. Look at CY now, signing a 2-way deal with the Thunder. Don't tell me that Coach Amir didn't have anything to do with that. Not the coach, the leader. The relationships you build when you're coaching young athletes, man, it stays with you forever. I'll be missing a show in a couple of weeks because I'm flying to St. Thomas because one of my players that I started coaching at 7 years old, Danny Gutcher, is getting married. This kid was quiet. He was a hell of an athlete, but who knows what his career would have turned out to be. I think he would have been successful in whatever he did. But just to know that this kid was able to go on and win a state championship at Gaither in 10th grade, go on and get a scholarship to USF, eventually go to Eckerd, and then go and win a national championship at UT. And now to be a guy that's a successful financial advisor here in the Tampa Bay area, like just to play a small part, it is incredibly humbling. Alex Golesh is a special guy, man. He's a special dude. And listen, he's not all warm and fuzzy either. He's not. That's just not his style. Like from his upbringing, right? He's hard-nosed. But every single time you hear him talk about a player and his growth and how they've been able to use football as an outlet to be a better person, damn, man. That's truly remarkable. That's truly special. And that's one of the things that I said about Coach Amir Abdur-Rahim. One of my proudest moments in my entire career, one of my entire life, is that USF used some of my words from Jay and Zach on WDAE for the video for Amir Abdur-Rahim. The video that they played during his celebration of life. And I'm not saying that selfishly. I'm not saying that because of me, like, oh, look at me and look at what I said. No. It's because those type of people need to be lauded. Those type of people need to be celebrated while they're here. Leaders of young men and young women that are going to shape how this freaking country and our world is going to look in the future. Embrace those that take the time out of their day and to choose the profession to, yes, I know it's sports, but to be able to positively impact these young student athletes. And that's one thing that Michael Kelly was focused on. That's a thing I know that Rob Higgins is going to be focused on moving forward. But I think about Ken Erickson and Mitch Hannes and Jose Fernandez and Amir Abdur-Rahim and Coach Brian Hodgson, like Coach Jenkins, Coach Bradley, like all the I don't want to leave all. There's so many coaches at USF. I don't leave. I love you all. I love you all. But that's why guys like Amir and Coach Golesh, together, man, they got along so well. They were in it for the right reasons. That's why we love a guy like Brian Hodgson already. Haven't even played a freaking game yet. But his upbringing, the way he talks about relationships and how you treat people, that's what it's all about, man. It really is. That's one thing that I tend to look at when I'm friends with somebody, when I'm in a relationship with a girl. How do they treat other people? How do they speak about other people? How thoughtful, how considerate are they? How do they light up when they see somebody else doing well? Do you see them beaming, talking about somebody else's growth and success? Those are the kind of people that you want to surround yourself with. So again, the offense is great. The talent is great. The recruiting is great. Our social media team's crushing it. Shout out to Clark Stanton. ESPN Sports Center is freaking copying off of Clark and the USF crew. Shooting a game on an old ass, what was it, old iPhone the other night? Come on, you got to catch up to Clark and the crew. But there's just a certain common thread around good people, good teams, good organizations. That's what Coach Golesh has done. That's how you change the culture. This wasn't just a small, all right, well, this team was okay. They were knocking at the door. They need somebody to take them over the hump. No, man. This was one of the worst teams in the country. In the country. Now you're talking about a team that's in the top 25. Incredible. Kudos to you, Coach Golesh. Not just the coach, but the leader of young men. Ruben, I know it was a car backup camera. That's what USF did, but ESPN, I think it was last night, they did like an old iPhone. And I was like, oh, no, you're biting off of Clark. Check it out on Instagram. It's on. I commented. Check out SportsCenter on Instagram. Guys, make sure it means a lot to me that you guys, support our partners here on the show. I mention this a lot too. It's not just the people, right? I mean, it's not just the fact that they are our partners, but the type of people that they are, right? When I mention my pal Russ over there at Honest Hammer, like another great guy that wanted to support, that wanted to be our first sponsor here on the show, wanted to partner with us because he knew that we needed support. He saw the effort that I put in to try to continue this thing rolling, man. Over 175 episodes of the Jay Recher podcast, man. It's kind of surreal. The Honest Hammer. You know anybody that needs any type of work done, renovations, remodel, you want a new custom build, Russ is your guy. 813-244-0956. You get a discount telling them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, 813-244-0956. They also have discounts for our first responders as well. I couldn't say enough nice things about Russ and the crew over there at the Honest Hammer. Also, our friends over at EverHealth. We know that we'll have the EverHealth injury report every single Thursday at 12:30 with Dr. Rodriguez. But just going over there and seeing all the different things that they're able to do for people in our community. 17 locations in Pinellas. Listen, I'm going to EverHealth myself over next week to go see Dr. Rodriguez so we can check out my knee and check out I'm not doing this. I'm not getting anything. I mean, I'm going there because they do great work. And after talking to Dr. Rodriguez, don't you want to see him if you got any issues? The guy's a genius. All the different things, man. They say from the cradle to the grave, family medicine, therapists out there if you need somebody to talk to. Like they have everything over there. Everhealth.org. EverHealth Injury Report every Thursday at 12:30. You can't beat them, man. You can't beat them. And again, very, very happy and fortunate that they're a partner right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Really, really good stuff. Really good stuff. As far as what we've heard so far from Coach Todd Bowles. Hassan Reddick, MRI results not come back yet. He's going to miss some time. Unsure of the extent. Jalen McMillan still in the brace, improving. Nothing has changed. Still don't think, as far as Evan Klosky says, don't think he's an option until December. Bucky and Chris Godwin fall into the iffy category. I don't think that Bucky and Chris will play this week. Mike Evans touch and go on a return date. Doesn't seem like there's many clear answers either, which is not great, but that's how football teams are, man. They're just going to be vague. I love that Baker Mayfield. The rivalry with the Saints is something that always the cleanest, and simply put, he just doesn't like them. Baker Mayfield feeling a little better. Losing Mike Evans sucks. It's the nature of the game, but they still want to support him in any way they can. Evans is a leader, and now they have to find ways to fill his shoes with somebody else. Todd Bowles says that Baker Mayfield throwing 50 times is not a good formula for success. They have to be more balanced than that and establish a run game. Where did you hear that, guys and gals? Where did you hear that? Exactly. Love Baker. Love him. Don't want you throwing 50 times. Sorry, bud. Sorry. Bull says they want to get Sean Tucker more snaps. Rashad White cannot continue getting 90% of them. Something the coaches have talked about. Bulls joked that they're trying to find enough guys to dress right now before the bye week and are looking at everything when asked about the possibility of making a trade. Bulls said the roles of Anthony Nelson, Chris Braswell will increase. Added that Braswell is fine when he pins his ear back and goes. Bowles says that it is still being discussed the route Mike Evans will take in healing his broken collarbone. Might be a playoff return depending on how his broken collarbone heals. He's doing well so far, and it's going to be touch and go. Still waiting on the Reddick MRI. Does look like he's going to miss time. Didn't have an update on Bucky week to week with Chris, and Jalen is definitely feeling better. So a lot of stuff there. I wouldn't think that Bucky and Chris would be available this week. We're going to get into that tomorrow, too, when it comes to the Chris Godwin injury. Hold on, buddy. Erik Erlendsson's leaving now, so he should be home soon. So we'll get to him at the end. And then we'll go from there. Yeah. So the whole thing, and I wanted to play this real quick. Let's hear from Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield on losing Mike Evans. We know how tough it is, man. I mean, to be able to see a guy like that go down, like your heart feels. Yeah, I mean, it just sucks, bro. Sucks. Here is Baker Mayfield, courtesy of our friends over at Joe Bucks Fan. Here's what Baker had to say about losing Mike Evans.
But you guys are also human beings too, and turning the page on an injury like that, a guy that I know means so much to you personally, he's a good friend of yours. How hard is that to do, even coming back into the building this week?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, from the business standpoint, you got to move forward. Can't focus on that, but from the personal side of it, it just sucks. And it's the nature of this game. Guys get hurt. You don't like to see it, but just got to support him in any way we can. And I know he'll do the same, like I mentioned after the game. So it's, like I said, unfortunate, especially for Mike being the guy he is, the player he is, the leader for this organization. But we're just going to have to find ways to fill the shoes that obviously he's not in there. So that's it takes everybody at that point. So it's Mike Evans.
Play, but you guys are all.
And there you go. You just tell. As much as he doesn't look happy, you're right, Dave. He does not look happy. There's a couple of things like you just don't realize, and this is something that I've been able to only understand because of being friends with a guy like Ian Beckles. These guys are human. And as much as we would like to say, like, oh, they get paid millions of dollars, they should be able to compartmentalize and be able to deal with this stuff. Like, I mean, they're human beings, bro. It's just natural for things to affect them. You don't know what's going through people's minds. You never know. You never know. I always say, like, I remember Anton Strawman with the Lightning with 4 kids running around like maniacs over there, and he was just like, it didn't matter that he made millions of dollars. He had the same look on his face that my dad did when 4 kids were running around going crazy. His kids don't care how much money he makes, especially when there's 4 under the age of 8. These guys have to deal with that type of stuff, and it's not easy. And I know it's part of the game. Injuries are part of the game, but when you're on your own, when you're thinking about it and you're answering questions about it, not easy, man. Not easy. I feel like in general, the media, we need to be able to give more grace. Give more grace to our professional athletes. I'm just thinking that they're superheroes and that nothing affects them. Robert, if you want to call in, buddy, call in now. We can talk about OKC since Erik Erlendsson's running a little bit late. So, Robert, if you want, you can call in now, pal. What an opening night last night for the NBA. Really good game between Oklahoma City and Houston. I thought Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like, they didn't even play all that great, and they still won that game. But the guy that stood out to me more than anybody is Alperen Şengün. And here's the link if you want to call again, Robert. Alperen Şengün, like, bro, he needs to be on the tip of everybody's tongue. That dude's the truth. He is a really, really good player. And Houston's going to be good, man. They are. They got some good players. They got a lot of size. They're going to be able to throw Thompson and Steven Adams and KD and Alperen Şengün. And they need some more guards. Like, they have Reed Shepard, the 3rd overall pick from Kentucky a couple years ago, or 2 years last year, not this past year, the year before. They're a good team, but it's just going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough to beat Oklahoma City, like, unless they get into a environment where guys are super selfish or they sustain some big injuries. I just don't see how OKC is not going to go back-to-back this year. What do you think, Robert? What did you make of that first win last night?
I mean, it shouldn't have gone to double. It should have gone to double overtime. KD should have been teed up, calling it a timeout when they didn't have any timeouts right in front of the ref.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun. And as a Thunder season ticket holder, I mean,
humble brag.
We they can't do that to me 40 more times this year. They can't. I won't make it. I'll have heart palpitations, I swear.
Who's your favorite player on the Thunder, Robert?
So of course you gotta say Shai, right?
Mm-hmm.
The MVP. But if I had to choose one of the guys that isn't like one of the main guys, honestly, up until this year, I would have said AC Fresh, Alex Caruso.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta rock with my boy in USF alum, Chris Youngblood,
baby. I love it. I think that's like I'm not a big jersey guy anymore, but I definitely think I'm gonna have to get one. I'm glad you had a good time, brother. Thank you for calling in, man. When's the next game you're going to?
So we have a couple on the road, starting with a NBA Finals matchup, rematch against Indy on tomorrow. And then we have one more on the road, and we'll be back home next Tuesday against the Kings when Russ comes back.
Okay. There we go. All right, buddy. Have a great week. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
See you, man. Bing bong. Let's go. I had my Knicks shirt on before. I looked down like I was still wearing it, but I wasn't. I'm such a big Knicks fan. I can't. I don't know how to feel about this year. I don't. Because I feel like they have so many good players, but I don't know if Karl Anthony Towns is the guy. I kind of want them to trade for Giannis. I feel like they rely on Jalen Brunson so much. I feel like I don't know if Mike Brown's the right guy. I feel like they're just traded out one coach for another coach that's kind of similar. I don't know. But you look at OKC, bro. Hartenstein, Holmgren, Shea, Lou Dort, Casey Wallace. I mean, Jalen's not even there. I mean, Jesus. Alex Russo, Aaron Wiggins. This team is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I mean, I'm hoping that it's Knicks and somebody else other than the Thunder. Like I'm hoping it's like Knicks and T-Wolves because I think that's a better matchup. But Benny says Bucks are going to be a lot better this year. I think maybe because you look at it. Big move in the offseason, trading Damian Lillard and bringing in Miles Turner. So now your front line is huge with Miles Turner and Giannis Antetokounmpo. But what does that mean for the team as a whole? Like, are they going to be successful? I feel like their time may have passed. Because when you look at the rest of their team, like you got Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, Kyle Kuzma, okay. Bobby Portis, Taurean Prince, Jericho Sims, Gary Trent. I mean, they're going to lean on Gary Trent a lot. Be able to shoot. I don't know, man. I'm not looking at this. This roster doesn't blow me away. It really doesn't. I mean, in the East, Cavs, because Evan Mobley, of course, up front with Jared Allen, with Donovan Mitchell. Like, they have some good players. And the Knicks, man, it's going to be them. I don't see the Sixers staying healthy. And obviously with Halliburton out and Tatum out, the Pacers and the Celtics are going to take a step back. I think Detroit takes a step back this year. I mean, you have Malik Beasley with an incredible shooting performance last year. I don't know what he's able to do. The Bulls stink. So do the Hornets. So do the Nets. Like, there's some bad teams. And that's what kind of worries me about it, because last night was so much fun if you're an NBA fan. But here's the thing. Is it always going to be like that? Because of the load management, because of all these different things. I don't know, man. I don't. Last night was great because you had so many guys in the lineup, even though J-Dub was out, and I know LeBron wasn't in there for the Lakers. But I don't know. There's going to be load. Guys aren't going to be in there. Like, competitive games, are we going to see all that throughout the entire regular season? Probably not. Basketball is just a different animal altogether. It really is. I was watching something from Gilbert Arenas earlier today. He was on with that guy, was it Neon or whatever, talking about how the culture in the NBA, it's like, it's accepted. They cheat on their wives. Why? Why is that accepted? Oh, well, they're out and they go to all these different cities and they get in at 2 and 3 in the morning. What do you expect them to do? Be faithful to their wives? They act like this is an epidemic. Like, oh my gosh, what are these guys going to do? They can't go out when they get in at 2 and 3 in the morning. I don't hear this shit about the NHL. I'm not saying guys don't go out when he has, go out and have a good time or whatever, but like, it's just such a weird thing that's accepted in certain cultures and communities. Like, it's okay. It's not okay. Sorry. It's not okay. Not okay. We'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season goes, but I'm excited for my Knicks. I really am. We'll see what happens this season, but you got to stay healthy, man. That's the most important thing. Knicks tip off tonight against the Cavs, 7:00 on ESPN, and then after them, the nightcap on the worldwide leader is anybody? Nobody? That's the only game? Can't be. Is that the only game? No, 9:30, Spurs and Mavericks. Ooh, Victor Wembanyama against the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flag and the Dallas Mavericks. Hey, again, talking about the NBA and the players and, the trades and all these different things. Everybody's saying, Luka deal. He scored all those points last night, but are they any better? I don't know. I like the Mavericks long term. If Kyrie can come back, Kyrie, Clay, AD, Flag, Lively, PJ Washington, like, they got some good players, man. They really do. Eddie says your Knicks are solid, but it's Heat and 5. Oh, and I need an answer to my super chat. It's a debate between me and my brother on a Tampa Bay NBA team. Never gonna work. Never gonna work. Too many people are flipping about the NBA. They don't care enough. There's just not a want. There's not a desire. And I'm not saying that because I don't want there to be. I wish there was, but you saw it when the Raptors were here. It was not a topic of conversation. It was not something that people were very interested in. They just didn't care. They really didn't care. I mean, it didn't help either. The Raptors did very little to try to put themselves out there. I mean, they were very appreciative that they could use the then Amalie Arena to be able to play their games, but it was very strange. It was very strange. They wanted all these different things. It didn't work out, and the fans were not missing anything. Tom says there's already a team in Orlando. Yes, I understand. I just need to know which of the two would you pick if you had a choice. Oh, out of what? Give me the choice. What are my two options here, Eddie? I'll give you an answer. Erik Erlendsson should be joining us here in a bit. LightningInsider.com. Make sure you are tuned in at 3:00 today. Beckles and Recher podcast. Should be fun. Yeah, should be good. Okay. Erik Erlendsson, LightningInsider.com. Make sure you sign up today. Super Chat said Tampa Bay Outlaws or Tampa Bay Storms. That's the name of the show. Or the name of the team. Tampa Bay Storm was the football team. It had to be something like that. I don't know if Outlaws. It's always going to go back to the weather or Pirates or something like that. Tampa Bay Musketeers. That was my high school. Central Musketeers. Yeah. Did I miss a super chat? Oh, look at my guy right here. $2 super chat. That's where I missed it. Sorry, Eddie. $2 super chat. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it. $5 for Carlos Becerra. Thank you guys so freaking much. You guys are the best. Tampa Bay Storm, pretty successful. You're right, man. You're right. A little bit before my time of covering sports down here, but they still have the pictures there at the arena of who was it? Oh, Derek Brooks was out there. Really, really cool stuff, man. Really, really good stuff. Ian Rappaport, another Evans update. Bucks Mike Evans set for surgery this week to repair his broken collarbone. Sources say a clean break that should have Evans back in 8 weeks or fewer. Huh. Bro, imagine if Mike Evans came back in the last 3 weeks. Imagine he came back the last 4 weeks. What are they? 5-2, 7. So they have 10 weeks left. 11 with the bye. Let's say he comes back in 7 weeks and he's got 4 weeks to get the record. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if the Bucks, like if he came back in 4 weeks and he had 4 weeks left and he gets into a situation where he gets like 220 yards week 1, 180 yards in week 2. And then you're looking at, you start doing the math. You're like, 500. Can he get 500? And that shit would be nuts. That would be absolutely crazy. I love it, man. I love it. I hope he's back sooner rather than later. I really do. Such a huge part of the franchise and, of course, our community here. And I think that's another reason that it hurts so much. And you saw it in Bailey Adams' eyes there when we spoke to him a little while ago, as well as hearing from a guy like Baker Mayfield. Like, you can feel the disdain. You can feel the pain. When things like that happens, you don't just feel bad because he's a good player. It's because he's a good dude. It's because he's a good dude. David Terry, that would be awesome, buddy. You got that right. Let's look at where he's at as far as the statistics. Did he have any catches in that game? No, right? No catches in that game. Damn, that sucked. If he could have got a couple, if he could have got 200. Damn, it sucks. Targets 4, catches 0. God dang it. That would have been cool, man. That would have been really, really cool. We'll see. Erik Erlendsson, lightninginsider.com here, joins us momentarily. Guys, sign up for lightninginsider.com today. Use that promo code JNZ. Get $10 off, not just today, but for every other day on the program. And don't forget, tomorrow, the EverHealth Injury Report at 12:30. We'll talk more about the Evans injuries. Erik joins us now. Just making sure we have everything going for our chat with my pal, Erik Erlendsson, lightninginsider.com. Start, sit, DeAndre Swift or Rachaad White. You got to go with Rachaad White. He's going to be the starter, and he's a guy that they're going to be able to use in the backfield. They're throwing the football to him. They're running the football, and you have to think going into New Orleans, they're going to be out for blood. I love that Baker has embraced the hate for the Saints. Not the dislike, not the disdain, but the hate for the Saints. He wears it on his face. He's like, hell no. Hell, I don't want any part of the Big Easy. I love that. They're going to be out for blood. Watch out, man. Take the over and all the stats. Eddie wants to know what the hell's going on with Kucherov. He was out the last 2 games because of an illness. He's back now. Nice little extended break for him because the Lightning are actually back in action tomorrow night at Amalie Arena. Ed Encina won't be there. I won't be there tomorrow. I'll be on the practice field. Hello, all. Hope everyone is doing well. How about that, Matthew Shaver? He has been incredible for the New York Islanders. He looks the part. And that's why, from whenever you hear from people across the sports world, and it's funny because I was just listening to something about Liverpool's young player, Florian Wirtz, who they spent $120 million on in the offseason to bring him in from Bayer Leverkusen. Greatness shows itself early. It doesn't take very long. You may see a guy not put up the numbers, not score the points or the goals or the hits, but you see it in there. You're like, it's going to come. And then when you don't see it early on, sometimes it never does. I'm with you. Schaefer is the real deal Holyfield. Mamola! Oh, your guy. Jonathan Taves scored in the Jets jersey. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of Vladdy Nemestikov celebrating with Taves after that goal. Yeah, Vladdy's had a nice career, man. He really has. Playing with a bunch of different teams from Ottawa to the Rangers to the Lightning and to the Jets, everybody in between. One of my biggest hates or dislikes when it comes to sports is seeing guys in these other jerseys where it just doesn't look right. It still doesn't look right, Steven Stamkos in the Predators jersey. And I understand not everybody has the ability to stay with one club for a long time. But like Jonathan Taves should have retired at Blackhawk. Patrick Kane should have not. And maybe his a little different because he's played a couple years after. But man, when you sign those long-term contracts like they both did, you get drafted and you lead the team to multiple championships. It never looks right. It never looks right. Patrick Kane will always be a member of the Chicago Blackhawks. Same thing with Jonathan Taves. And you saw it last night too with Brad Marchand. I mean, with him being out there and getting the tribute video there in Boston, it looks weird. Even though they won a cup, it just looks weird. Looks very, very strange. All right, let's bring him in. He was at practice, so we'll let it slide. That he's gonna have to run some extra laps. It's our good pal Erik Erlendsson, lightninginsider.com. All right, go ahead, run a lap. Come back. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Buddy, if I had to run a lap, I might pass out.
Yeah, we don't want that, buddy. Our show would get significantly worse. How are things?
Good, man. Very good. Again, sorry about the timing of everything. It's the irony
Cooper's
is that
fault.
today, well, it's not Coop's fault today.
Whose fault?
I wanted to talk to Rob Zettler because I'm working on this story on Charles-Edouard Dastou, who
easy for you to say.
We anticipate he'll make his NHL debut tomorrow. Not a given, Nothing's set in stone, but we kind of feel it's trending that way. But it's a great story on a guy that I'm telling you, Jay, when people read this story, they're going to root for this kid. He's got a great backstory. These are the kind of stories that I love being able to report on and write on. I was waiting on Rob Zettler to talk to him about him. And I actually never even did talk to Zetz. He was in a meeting, so I was like, I got to go. I've made Jay wait too long, so I got to go.
LightningInsider.com, guys and gals. Make sure you sign up today. Use that promo code J&Z, get $10 off, not just today, but every subsequent season. So why are we seeing this guy?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, Max Crozier is still out. Crozier's a righty. Dastu is a lefty, so it's not exactly matching up. But, look, they were very high on him in training camp. He got a couple of games in and, really showed of himself. Like, here's a guy who had never even signed an NHL contract before, right? He was undrafted coming out of junior, and the only contract he signed was an AHL two-way deal. So it was an AHL ECHL deal, and he kind of split a couple of years between then. So they just want to, I think you have to find out. You have to have answers, right? Just like at some point, I'm pretty sure we'll see Wojtek Stachowiak up, right? Because you have to have answers to questions of what you saw in preseason, and can that carry over into the NHL against different looking lineups? So I think that's what a lot of this is. He went down to Syracuse, played 4 games for the Crunch, and was really good down there. He's the kind of player, you look at his offensive numbers. I mean, he once scored like 20-plus goals in the ECHL, right? For a defenseman, obviously, that's a high number. Yeah. So he's been kind of labeled some ways unfairly as a offensive defenseman only. But you look at his numbers, and in talking to him today and talking a little bit to John Cooper about him, he's not just an offensive guy. Yeah, the numbers are there, but, plus minus isn't the end all be all, but you look at his plus minus numbers, they're really good everywhere he's been. He was even telling me today that his partner last year played in the Swedish Elite League, were among the tops in plus minus in the Swedish Elite League. So he's not just an offensive guy. So I think you just want to be able to get a feel for, he's 27 years old. So he's not, a 21, 22-year-old. So he's a little bit advanced in his pro career. But I think you just have to find out about guys. And I think this is an opportunity with Crozier's injury. Obviously, the team's in a little bit of a funk to start the season, just to see where he fits in and if he fits in.
We got a question here from Nick. Should only be a matter of time until we see Pelletier. 3-year deal means he must be in our future plans, right? Dominic James looks like a player too.
Yeah, again, these were the questions we had in training camp, right? Who was going to earn those opportunities out of camp? And certainly Pelletier was in that conversation, and Dominic James forced his way into that conversation. Again, a player in James we didn't really know much about. Played 3 years at Minnesota Duluth, missed a year because of injury to his shoulder that he had his junior year. But basically signed in the middle of camp and was here until the end. And the preseason games that he played, you could see the attributes that he has outside of the speed, the hockey sense, the understanding how to make plays. And he's continued that. He's got 3 goals in 4 games for Syracuse. He's got points in all 4 games. He had the overtime winner against Hershey in game number 2 to start the season. And yeah, Pelletier he's here on a 3-year deal. So it's not just a now situation. Remember, his is a 2-way deal this year. It's a 1-way deal, the final 2 years of that contract. So yeah, there's an investment there in Pelletier as well. That eventually, depending on how injuries shake out, that, we'll probably see both those guys at some point, at least get a chance to see what they look like in a Lightning uniform.
I don't know if this is a question angled towards Julian Brisebois or John Cooper, but do the Lightning need to be a little bit more cutthroat? Maybe that's too strong of a word, but do they need to be a little bit more stern this season going forward on who plays and how much they play? Because I feel like there was the one thing, and I get it because they're up and they're butted up against the salary cap so much the last couple of years. But I think this team, it would do some good if there was some consequences for their actions or something where if you're not getting the job done, there's other people that can come in and do said job. What say you?
Well, I think there's 2 ways to look at that. The first is, in years past, you're right, they haven't had the cap room and they haven't had the depth. Like, there was no push, right? So you didn't really have the opportunity to do that. And even if you did, you didn't have the cap space to do it. I mean, how many games last year and the year before did they basically only carry 20 guys on the roster because they had to? Right. Because the salary cap situation forced them into making those decisions on their roster and the personnel. I think this year, I think they do have the depth. And more importantly, they have a little bit of cap flexibility. Like you look at any of the cap sites, like you're used to seeing the lighting right near the top, if not at the top of available cap space, as in the less available cap space. They're usually at the top. They're a little bit further down this year. The cap going up certainly helps. You look at some of the guys that are on like contracts that are under $1 million cap hit. I mean, those certainly kind of help, give you this kind of flexibility. So they have that flexibility this time around. And I think the one thing that preseason showed us outside of, wanting to be a quote unquote tougher team, I think it showed that some of the depth is there, right? Dominic James, we just talked about him, kind of came out of nowhere and really made a name for himself in camp. And, the signing of Peltier and Dylan Duke, we didn't really talk much about Dylan Duke in preseason. Declan Carlisle on the back end, a left-hand shot defenseman, showed that he's on the cusp of being NHL ready, if he's not already, sort of the same path as Max Crozier took to get to the NHL. So, I think in like to answer the question, I think you have the ability this year. But the thing is like you're not benching a Brandon Hagel. You're not benching a Nikita Kucherov, if they make mistakes. It's just you can take some ice time away a little bit. But, the guys that you're going to bring up or, if a guy like Gonsalves can't handle a top six role on a regular basis. And, we don't even know what the things are going to look like when Nick Paul does come back, which, should be within the next couple of weeks or so. He has been skating as he comes back from a wrist injury. But yeah, I think that the flexibility opportunities are there to maybe see some of these guys that maybe in the years past you couldn't even afford to get a look at some of these guys.
You mentioned the young kid playing on defense. So how would you think who's going to play tomorrow night in your best guesstimation?
If I were to guess, I think they go 7-11 tomorrow. That's just kind of reading between the lines because obviously, and I'm sure we'll get into the Connor Geekie situation. He was sent to Syracuse. The Crunch play tonight. So in theory, you could bring Geekie back up ahead of tomorrow's game. That's certainly a possibility. But looking at what they have right now, they've only got 12 healthy forwards on their roster because Zemgus Girgensons has been practicing. But, John Cooper indicated the weekend might be an opportunity for him to get back in the lineup. So I don't think that's going to be tomorrow. So that just kind of gives me the indication that maybe you go 7-11 and you sit out either Curtis Douglas or Jack Finley and then let, the fourth line be the fourth line. And you give Destu an opportunity because he was running a little bit of the second power play today. Darren Radish started out as the point guy on the power play, but Destu took over some opportunities as well. So everything tells me that Destu is playing tomorrow without being told that Destu is playing tomorrow.
All right, let's get into the Connor Geekie thing. I'm so bullish on this kid. I'm worried about his development because you see this in sports sometimes and you see the guys and they do it with TLC and tender loving care. And it's, let's not overwhelm them. Let's do this. And then you never see the guy be the guy you can be. And I know he's a young player, but man, when the other guys aren't necessarily blowing your socks off with what they're doing, this team hasn't really shown much through the first couple of games as far as being able to win and to be able to score goals. And what do you make of the Connor Geekie situation deeper than what they've said? And I get it. He's 21. He's one of the guys that's a numbers thing. He can be sent down, not having to pass the waivers, but reading in between the lines, Double E, is there something that he's not doing? Is there are you worried at all about his development at all? I mean, take off your optimistic hat just a little bit here and vibe with me here because you're always a lot more level-headed about these things than I am. But I feel like he brings something to the table, brother, that nobody else does. And this team, I just feel like they're missing. This is what I love about using soccer to analyze other sports. They talk about expression and they talk about being able to show your personality and to just be able to influence the games in different ways where it's deeper than just scoring goals. I feel like Connor Geekie when he gets the opportunities in a long form, we really see that when he shoots the puck, he can bring something to the table that we don't see from a lot of different guys. What do you make of his whole decision of him going down? And also, when could we see him back up?
You'll see him back up sooner rather than later. This is not a demotion in the sense that he's not playing well. Like, I don't think, you look at the way he played in the first 6 games, he's not any better or any worse than anybody else, right? Like, so this is not he's playing terribly, we better get him down to the minors. I don't view it that way. And
I don't either. Sorry to cut you off. I don't either, but I think about it as much as we try to say he's a professional, he's got to, like, it affects you, man. Like, he's a human being at the end of the day, dude. Like, you're telling everybody your brother's in the league, like, yeah. As much as people say in the long run, it'll be good for him. I don't necessarily agree with that with everybody. Like, if you're trying to make up the gap to Florida, if you're trying to change the way that your team plays and change your identity, like, I'm sticking with him. Like, I'm sticking with a guy like Connor Geekie and going through some of the warts because he can bring some other things that people don't like. We've seen this in the past too with other players where, and then the guy moves on and then he flourishes somewhere else because everybody tries to be so cautious with these young players. I don't know how often you really see guys get burned out because if they weren't good enough, they're probably not going to be good regardless if they're playing at 20, 21, or 25. Yeah.
And again, this is not a demotion based necessarily on performance, right? The one thing when Coop was talking about it yesterday that, you try and read between the lines outside of as you mentioned, he's the only guy that doesn't require waivers to be sent back down and you want to open up a roster spot. And that's certainly part of it. And Coop indicated that. But the one thing that I took out of it was he said right now, Connor Geekie needs to play more to what his skill set demands. And for a couple of games, he was 4th line center. I think we can agree Connor Geekie is not a 4th line center.
No.
Right? So what is the best thing for him at this moment, not a week from now, not a year from now, not 2 years from now, is to get him into situations where he's playing some minutes, get him into being a top 6 guy, which he's probably going to be once he starts to really get closer to the ceiling of his development progress. And, so I view it as that. And the rules have changed this year, the new CBA, a couple of things that were negotiated for the CBA that kicks in next year actually started this year. One of them is there's no more paper transactions for sending a guy to the American Hockey League. If you send a guy to the American Hockey League, he has to play a game there before you can bring him up. So that's what I'm saying. Syracuse plays tonight, so it's not outside the realm that Geekie gets called up tomorrow. Right. And, everything I just talked about with the 12 healthy forwards, that changes everything, right? So we'll see what tomorrow brings in terms of Connor Geekie. But, like, he will as a 21-year-old, and he did it last year. He thrived. Once he figured out how to handle it, right? And sometimes you do these things to see how players handle it. Once he figured out how to handle it, he thrived, and Syracuse came back, and I think we can all admit he was a different player when he was called back up at the end of the year, right? So that's what I'm saying. I'm not privy to the conversations, obviously, but I bet the conversations with Connor kind of went a little bit like that. Look, we want you to play some heavy minutes right now, whether it's one game, whether it's through the weekend, and this is not even a 3-day weekend for Syracuse. They play tonight. I think they play Saturday and they'll play again to Wednesday. So this is kind of a light schedule for the crunch right now. So you get him into a game, or you get him into 2 games and then you bring him back up before the road, heading to Nashville, whatever it is. I think that those conversations with him were, look, we want you to play some minutes. And right now we don't have a top 6 spot yet. Doesn't mean there won't be there. Again, I think the questions are still out there about Gonçalves as a top 6. He showed it in the second half of last year, but I think most of the top 6 this year has not performed like we want to see the top 6 on this team perform. And he's part of that top 6.
He's
right?
the guy,
so,
because you're not taking point Gensel, Kucherov, Cirelli, and Hagel.
Exactly.
And I get that. So
exactly.
Is it more of you got to see this from Gage and see if he can do it in the first half of the season to see if he can replicate what he did in the second half? And then when he doesn't, you go with Geekie then?
The other thing is too, like he played the first 2 games of the road trip at 4th line center Geekie we're talking about, but with Kucherov out Friday and Saturday, Geeky was a top 6 guy, right? Like he moved into a top 6. So that more than anything will tell you what they think of him and where they think he can be. So that's why, like, you look at that and you take the comment from Coop yesterday talking about skill set and, you know, roles that are more suited to a skill set. You kind of get a little window into the thinking of what the bigger picture at play is with Connor Geeky. And I don't think that, you know, they're not stunting his growth. The development curve is still on the way up, right? This is not something, you know, to kind of get too worked up over, although I understand it because they haven't had a prospect.
I'm getting worked up.
They have not had a prospect rank as high as Connor Geeky, you know, in a number of years. Obviously, the lack of draft picks have had it, and, you know, the Isaac Howard situation didn't work out, and he ends up moving on. But they haven't had somebody like this come up through their system, even though he wasn't drafted by him, with this sort of pedigree next to his name.
Yeah, and I it's impossible, right? It's impossible to know if they're stunning his growth, but you know, I want them to give more opportunities to young guys. I want them to give more opportunities to upset the apple cart. Like I feel like we're trying to go down the same road with the same type of, you know, recipe, and it's just a different team. It's a different personality altogether. What has been the big bugaboo for this team? You think, the first couple of games, they just seem to really be struggling to kind of just put it all together.
Yeah, they look slow and out of sync.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that they've had multiple stretches in games, 10, 15, 18 minutes without a shot on goal is a little concerning. It's not a one-game thing, right? It's been something that's happened a couple of times. I think the preseason plays into this a little bit, although we're kind of getting past that point right now. But, you know, the regulars didn't play in the preseason. Right? Victor Hedman played 20 minutes. Brandon Hagel played a game in 8 minutes, right? They didn't play together as a unit because of the whole situation that went on with the Panthers. And that last game was supposed to be their top guys playing together for the first time to get ready for the start of the regular season. That didn't happen. So I feel that they kind of got caught up in the way that the preseason ended and it knocked them out of sync. Now, having said that, you are 6 games in. It's time to stop using that as an excuse and go out and play. And, you know, the one thing, again, reading between lines of what coaches say, when Coop talked about the practice designed yesterday, and a little bit of it was that way today, but more so yesterday, pace and I forget the other word he used, but you heard pace a couple of times come out of him. They're not playing the game fast. Part of that is execution. I mean, there's been plenty of times where, like, man, how did he not make that pass? How did he not connect on that pass? And when you connect on those passes, you do look faster. Right. So it's the pace and speed of execution that is lacking on this team right now, and the decision making. You know, I mean, the Kucherov pass on the power play when they're down a goal in the third period against the Devils, it crushed them. Right, Victor Hedman not clearing the puck out on the penalty kill. You know, rather than making the right play, he tried to make a risky play. And it burned them, and it probably ended up costing them a point in that game against Washington. So to me, it's the pace and execution, and it's the decision-making. That's still preseason decision-making. You got to be in regular season, hell, even playoff decision-making, where you got to take risk out of your game. You know, you go back to that Washington game, you're up 2-1 in the third period. You don't have to score another goal as long as you don't give one up. Right. So you have the lead in the third. So that's a mentality thing that they kind of have to get back into their system a little bit, is making the smart reads, playing winning hockey. They have not played a winning style of hockey really through six games of the season. So, you know, this couple of days off here, 2 days off, and then 2 days of good hard practices hopefully kind of resets things and gets them ready for what's going to be a little bit of a tough stretch coming up.
Do you fall into the fact that, like, do you fall into the habit of thinking like, hey, this worked with one group 5 years ago, and do you run the risk of not trying to reinvent yourself? And I'm not saying trying to recreate the wheel, but do you, and the case in point was the third line, just get another third line, everything will be fine, right? Like, it's not always like that, but do you feel like the team has been able to find the last 2 or 3 years their identity throughout the season? Because I feel like even last year, like, they played well, the defense was better, but there's also some other things, like when you look at it, they had some games where they gave up a ton of goals. You saw what they did in the postseason, because at the end of the day, this team is only going to be judged by what happens in the playoffs. Like, what would you say this team's identity is right now?
Well, that's part of it. They don't have one right now.
Yeah.
And that's where I say the preseason kind of mess with their heads a little bit, because they want to have this persona that their teams are not going to push them around. Right.
Mhm.
Because it's what we talked about a little bit.
That's what they were focused on.
Coming out of the preseason. And certainly those last few games were trying to create that part of their identity, which is not their strength. And it's not going to be their strength, but they want it to be a part of who they are. So that's why I think things kind of got scrambled at the end of preseason, because it kind of changed their plans. Right. It kind of, like, you don't call up all those guys from Syracuse without a reason, right? And it wasn't like everybody thinks, oh, they're trying to goon it up. Yeah, that was part of the thinking, especially with Sabourin and Roman Schmidt come up. But, Dastu's not that kind of a player. Dylan Duke's not that kind of a player. Stahoviak's not that kind of a player. Peltier, like, none of these guys are like goons, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And certainly Sabourin was brought up, but, so it kind of took them out of their game plan. And they've kind of scrambled to try and get it all back together. They thought and they felt that, they could rely on, because it is a lot of the same players from last year. There is a lot of the same chemistry. A lot of the line combinations were the same to start the year as they were to end the year last year. But, like, it doesn't always work that way. Like, think about the year where Nikita Kucherov, Andre Palat, and Tyler Johnson first played together. By far the best line in hockey. They had a nickname, a triplets. Their shirts were made up with them, everything, and they were so good. They were just on the same page. And he came back the next year, and they wasn't the same. The chemistry wasn't the same, but they weren't in sync the same way. So you can't rely on last year. Yeah, it's great to have that familiarity, but you have to build it this year. You can't just rely on it. And so I think that's part of this as well, is that maybe they are relying too much on the numbers that they had last year, because their overall numbers were really good, right? In terms of offense and defense and all the numbers that you want to add up, they were all pretty good. So I think they kind of relied on that too much. And now you're realizing, okay, we have to, and things are different, right? Jeff Blashill's not here anymore. So it's a little bit of a new system they're kind of implementing. Sometimes it takes a little bit to kind of get used to some of the new details. I mean, when I talked to Yanni Gord yesterday, he was fantastic. And that's up on the website if people want to read more of what Yanni Gord had to say. But basically said you have to focus on the small details of the game. And the money quote was, every game is like a giant puzzle, and you have to find the small pieces that all fit together, right? So you can kind of see where the mindset is in trying to bring everybody together on the same page, even though a lot of the players ended the season together with this team last year.
Before I let you go, I don't know if we ever talked about this, but the whole thing with Mikhail Sergachev and what he said on that Russian podcast about Blashill and the defensive structure. Did we ever talk about? I don't know if we ever talked about that.
We didn't bring it up. No.
I don't know. I mean, because it was happening I think it was in the off season. But, like, what do you make of that? I mean, we hear that a lot, of course, up in the press box with some of the people that we're hanging out with as far as the defensive structure. But, like, what do you make of that whole thing? And do you buy into the big kind of defensive change as far as what type of defensive structure they played with after they were so successful with those 3 straight runs to the Stanley Cup final?
I do a little bit. Like, when you have success the way that they did and play in a certain way, and sometimes you have to fit your system to the personnel, and sometimes the personnel has to fit the system. I felt with the changes that were made, it does lend itself to criticism, because if you do have success, why are you changing it? And why are you changing it in the grand scheme of things drastically, right? Like, from a drastic standpoint, because that was a drastic change in the way that they played defense, especially how they set up in their own zone. I still think they dropped too deep, right? And again, I think they're trying, like you kind of watch the practices and kind of what they're working on. I think they are trying to get guys a little bit further out to cover the points a little bit better, to take away. Time and space is everything in this game. It's such a fast-paced game. If you give the skilled players in this league time and space to burn you, there's a good chance at some point they're going to burn you.
Right.
And I think that's what happened in the playoffs last year. against the Panthers because they were so good, especially that third line that the Panthers had. They just ate the Lightning's breakfast throughout that entire 5-game series. So I think there is something to that in terms of why are you changing something that we had so much success for? And when you do that, like, it's hard to get the players to totally buy into.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the biggest thing. You have to show the players why you're changing. And I think with Sergachev's comments there, I think there was a hesitancy on a lot of guys to buy in because, wait a second, we had success with A. Why are you making me change to B now? So, I think there's some merit to what Mikhail Sergachev had to say for sure.
E, what do you have up on lightninginsider.com right now, buddy? Let them know.
Yeah. Like I said, there's some great comments from Yanni Gord yesterday. Also, some of the insight into the Connor Geeky, sending him down to Syracuse. And I asked Coop yesterday about the shots. And so that stuff is kind of up there. And again, I got to start working on this Dastu story, man. I'm telling you, it's an emotional tearjerker. It's the story about who his greatest supporter was. And, I'll tease it with this. He wears a necklace with a ring on it. And that's a big part of a promise he made to get to the NHL. And he's one step shy of it right now. And you're going to want to cheer for Charles-Edouard Dastu after reading this story. So that'll be up probably later tonight. That'll be posted up. So look for that. Certainly, if not by tonight, certainly by, first thing in the morning.
Charles-Edouard Dastu, or as I like to call him, Seti. Will be the first Seti since Seti Paquette.
He said we can call him Charlie, but Charles-Edouard sounds so much better, doesn't it?
Charles-Edouard.
It just sounds so much better. I'm not going to call him Charlie. I'm going to call him Charles-Edouard.
Charles-Edouard. That would have been a Ron Diaz favorite. Charles-Edouard. Erik Erlendsson. Follow him on Twitter /X. Erik_Erlendsson. That's a K, not a C. 2 S's after the D. lightninginsider.com. Sign up with the promo code JNZ. Get $10 off, not just this year, but every recurring season after that. Double E, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you rushing home. I won't be there tomorrow. I got practice, but I'll see you on Saturday night, my friend. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. And hopefully next Wednesday we'll have a better timing.
We'll see. Damn.
The team's not practicing.
You got that right. Thanks, pal. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Jay.
All right. Good stuff. Double E. Erik Erlendsson, lightninginsider.com. Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a story. Guys, this is, again, when we're talking about trying to support local, trying to support our people here on the show, I mean, Double E's been with me for as long as I've been on the air. So if you're going to support anybody, support lightninginsider.com. Man, it's worth it. It is worth it. All right, hold on. It's a living, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, lightninginsider.com. Go check them out. Promo code JNZ. JNZ, get $10 off, not just this year, but every recurring season after that. Really, really good stuff. Charles-Edouard Dastu. 3 minutes before this announcement from the Rowdies. So I think I'll just stay on for a couple of minutes so I can give my 2 cents on the big announcement that's coming in. Really, really good stuff there. Guys, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe as well. A big shout out to our guy, Chan, in the house. Hi, all. Just got here. According to Eric, how cooked are my bolts? Nah, man. They're not cooked. They're not cooked. Everything should be okay. Should be fine. Everything will be fine. Hopefully. If not, you'll hear it here on the show. Because Eric is the guy that kind of talks me off the ledge. Makes you feel a lot better about what's going on. But yeah. I mean, it's just that's the way it goes sometimes, man. It really does. Any questions? Ask me anything. Now's the time. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. And shout out to Simeon Rice and Work Done. Top 52 candidates for the class of 2026. There you go. Elliot Friedman saying Sam Riley's guy. That's the guy that can trade for something. Could they trade Sam O'Reilly for something else? I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. Any questions? Feel free to ask them there at the screen, and and hit that like button, man. Right now, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on Twitter, now is the time. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Smash that damn thing. And make sure you share this on all your social media platforms as well, and we will make it work. Is Godwin done for the year? And what did Erik say about Geeky going down to Syracuse? Sorry, I was late. Yeah, he was just talking about, him being one of the guys that has the option to be able to be sent down so he doesn't have to pass through waivers. And also because he needs to get minutes with top 6 guys. You're going to give Gage Gonsalves the opportunity to play in the top 6 because 5 of the 6 guys are already there. You know that it's going to be Kucherov, Point, Gensel, Sorelli, and Hagel. Those 5 guys are going to be 5 of your 6. Now, who's going to be that 6th guy? Now, are you going to just give it right to a guy like Connor Geeky, or are you going to try Gage Gonsalves out there, who did a pretty good job in the second half of the season? I don't think he's looked all that great early on. Doesn't mean things like that aren't going to change. So we'll see. I think it's just kind of a little bit of a waiting thing. But Erik says, don't be surprised if they call him back up. You have to be able to go down and play a game. It's not just a paper transaction anymore, Double E said. You have to play a game. When you get sent down to the AHL, you can't just go down and be like, oh, I'm here, and then go back down. Sometimes that happens. And guys don't even leave. They just stay in Tampa. Channels wants to know, is Godwin done for the year? Is Godwin done for the year? I wouldn't say he's done for the year, but it's a little worrisome, to be honest with you. All right, the breaking news. And we're going to play it here. We're going to watch this together. This is the big announcement from our Tampa Bay Rowdies. This is something that I heard was just coming out, and we're going to play it with you guys right now. Hold on. All right, I haven't watched this because they just released it, but we're going to watch this together. So this is a special message from the Tampa Bay Rowdies and one of the greatest players in the history of our Tampa Bay Rowdies and our good pal, friend of the program, Leo Fernandes. So here's what his special message for all of us.
Hey Rowdies fans, I wanted to let you know I made the decision to retire at the end of the season. The last 9 seasons with the Rowdies have been an unbelievable blessing. I'm grateful for each and every minute that I've gotten to play at Al Lang in front of you fans, my family, and all the supporters around the world. Thank you for welcoming me and my family into this amazing community. I've came here with a girlfriend, no kids, and I'm leaving married, 2 kids, and became a man. It's been an absolute privilege to play for this club, and I've never took that for granted. I'll always be a Rowdy, and I know I'm going to miss taking the field at Al Lang when I hang up my boots, but I'm not done yet. We've still got one more match at Al Lang this Saturday as we fight for a playoff spot. So I hope to see you in the stands, and come on, you Rowdies.
That's a tough one, buddy. That's a tough one. Leo's obviously dealt with some injuries the last couple of years. And when you cover sports here in the Tampa area, there really is like a kind of there's a barrier, right? There's like, they're not your friends. There is that space, right? There is like, you got to do your job. They got to do their job, and it is what it is. But Leo is always one of those people where, I don't know, we grew up very close. We didn't know that, but we grew up very close. He went to North Babylon. I was Central Islip. We didn't grow up very far from each other. But I consider Leo a friend. and his wife M is the best. Their kids are amazing. The family's just incredible. I know it's had to kill him the last couple of years, not being healthy and dealing with, the Achilles and dealing with the calf injuries and all these different things and working his way back. And, he's the MVP of the freaking league, man. And just a great dude. An unbelievable human being all the way around. So I wish him the best. I wish him the best. And, man, it sucks. I'm not going to be able to be out there Saturday night because I got the Sticks and Stools and I'll be at the Lightning game, but I will be there in spirit with my guy. Hopefully that they can come away and find a way to win. But I do know that Leo will be joining us on the program tomorrow at 12:15 before the injury report. I'm going to try to move it up to 12:10 so we can have 20 minutes with him. So Leo will join us on the program. He was, if you guys remember, we do every single year, and we'll do it again this year, our top 20 sports stars of Tampa Bay. And talking about the great players here in the Tampa Bay area, great coaches, great dignitaries, everybody. The only Rowdies player to ever make the top 20 sports stars in Tampa Bay was Leo Fernandes. Great dude. Great dude, great father, great husband. And again, going back into what we were talking about with Coach Golesh and the reason why he's been so successful, he's such a good person. Yeah, it sucks, man. I'm not surprised, but it just sucks because he's just such a good person. And, man, I hope they send him out with a win at Al Lang on Saturday night. Leo, we love you, buddy. You'll always be welcome here, and I know he'll still be here in the Tampa Bay area, but it just sucks, man. It's just like it's a sport he's played his whole life, and now he has to announce his retirement. Yeah, we love you, man. We love you, buddy. A true legend for our Tampa Bay Rowdies, no doubt. All right, I got to roll. 3 o'clock, Ian Beckles and Jay Recher, the Beckles and Recher podcast. Make sure you check us out right here on the channel. Yeah, then we'll go from there, man. Big thank you to Erik Erlendsson for joining us on the show, as well as Bailey Adams did a great job as well on the program today. So really, really fun stuff here as well. Big thank you to Honest Hammer and Ever Health. Couldn't do this without you guys. Follow me on all social media platforms, fellas and ladies. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, at JRetro. Like and subscribe. Thank you for the super chats. Carlos, Eddie, Chan, you guys are the best. Couldn't do this without you. All right, I got to run. I got to get ready to head to Ian's. We'll be back live again tomorrow, right here at noon on the Jay Recher podcast. I love you guys. Respect to my guy, Leo. Love you all, man. Let's go, Rowdies.